Had the Bengals get their first win of the season over the Rams 19-16 on Monday Night Football. Some people are saying this is a great Bengals team win. I kind of agree with that. I'd also like to argue the case of the LA Rams really had every chance to win this football game, and a little bit of questionable decisions here by Sean McVay kind of put this one out of reach. But, speaking of the Bengals and the real takeaways that they had from this football game and their first win again, 19-16 on Monday Night Football against the LA Rams, who have also been another sneaky competitive team this year as well. You got Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals defensive line was really on Matthew Stafford's ass all night. 6 total sacks, 10 QB hits. Defense forced a couple interceptions. One of those I'm not going to necessarily put on Stafford, but you talk about a Lou Anarumo masterclass. I mean, really coming in with this team for the Bengals, plugging in as that defensive coordinator, held Puka Nacua, a.k.a. Cooper Kupp 2.0, it felt like, with the way he was being through the first 2 weeks of the season. 5 catches on 7 targets, 72 yards, much better than the multiple catches, record catches through the first 2 games. Over 100 yards in his first 2 games, much lower than the previous weeks. Coming into week 3, the Rams were leading the NFL in red zone touchdown rate at 83.3% and on third down at 58.1%. And Lou Anarumo crafted a defense on Monday Night Football to be able to hold that Rams team to 16 points. And Dax Hill had a nice game, right? You see him flying around. They draft Dax Hill in lieu of Jesse Bates, who goes to the Atlanta Falcons, still kind of has that best safety in the league prowess. But Dax Hill is filling in nice. He had a nice, he had a nice sack getting to the quarterback in this game, and ultimately, I think played really well when he was called upon. Joe Mixon had some big carries all night too. They really rode his energy. I know you might look at the stats and just say, "Hey, 19 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown." But when they really needed him on key plays and key plays and key drives, he was busting up the middle, scoring touchdowns. Obviously, when it was 6-6 in the football game, converting drives for them, really just being very reliable at certain points in this football game for the Bengals. But you still see Joe Burrow kind of struggling, obviously, throwing the football down the field in this game. He's got to get healthy. He's dropping back 49 times in this football game, something that's a little questionable for me. I'm kind of looking at Zach Taylor like, what's going on here? But you also hear Joe Burrow on, I think in the post-game interview saying like, hey, I was worried about 0-3. So I guess when you have a guy that's taking you to back-to-back AFC title games and turn your franchise around as a head coach, you're like, all right, boss, whatever you want. Joe Burrow, 26 for 49, an interception, 259 yards. And again, why is he passing 49 times not being 100%? Why is he passing 31 times in the first half not being 100%? This is the 3rd straight game with no first half touchdown. And it shows you that Joe Burrow is a major piece in this offense. Not that that's something we didn't know, but Joe Burrow is a very, very valuable asset to this offense. And when he's not 100%, they clearly look different. Jamar Chase finally came alive in this game, 12 catches, which is a career high, 15 targets in this game, 141 yards after coming in with 10 catches and 70 yards on the whole year through the first 2 games. So they clearly get him implemented here, get him working well. Now, I think, if McPherson doesn't doink this kick in, it's a different football game. Now, he did come in clutch in some big moments for the Bengals, not going to take that away from him. And they were kind of, this was kind of a game down to the onside kick recovery. But when you look at the Rams side of the ball, I got to give credit to Sean McVay, but also kind of wonder, like, well, what the hell are you doing here? I think he really could have won this football game because this really might be the toughest 1-2 team in the NFL right now. I mean, let's just be real. You got Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua holding this Bengals offense to 19 points with, yes, I get it, not a healthy Joe Burrow. Totally understand that. Jamar Chase still has a game. Joe Mixon's still able to have a decent game. But when you lose Alaric Jackson and Joe Noteboom and you still only lose by 3, I mean, they needed to chip Trey Hendrickson at the line. Zach Thomas is getting ate up, and Sean McVay's just not really bringing help for his guys. So I kind of got to also give some credit to Zach Taylor because I'm asking the question of, did Sean McVay get out coached? I mean, he loves Kyren Williams. He traded Cam Akers. It kind of seems like he traded Cam Akers because of how much he loves Kyren Williams, right? But he didn't use him but 10 times in this football game against the worst rushing defense through the NFL, in the NFL through 2 weeks. Cincinnati Bengals had the worst rush defense through 2 weeks in the NFL coming into this game against the Bengals, specifically on the 2-yard line of the opening drive. That's points right there. That's a swing right there that the Rams could have had in this game. And they kind of got some bad breaks, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, they could have won if this, and X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C happened. Right. And if I would have scratched the right winning lottery ticket, I'd be a billionaire. But, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Okay. So some bad breaks here for the Rams. It kind of started with Tutu Atwell barely stepping out of bounds on that 22-yard end around. I didn't think he stepped out of bounds. I thought he was in for the touchdown, but they called it back. That's very tough to see there. The Rams also had a touchdown called back when the Bengals got a late timeout call into the official. Sean McVay didn't look happy about that one. I actually saw that one. I watched the whole game, obviously, but like seeing that happen live, I was like, damn, like I would be really upset because it kind of seemed like a late timeout call, and that was a busted play. Maybe the defense wasn't lining up correctly, like they assumed they were going to get the timeout off. But we've seen times before, very rarely, we've seen times before where the timeout doesn't get relayed quick enough, obviously, to the official. Logan Wilson got his first interception in this game. I thought that kind of hit the ground, though. Speaking of some other not so good breaks here for for the LA Rams. Another play that I really thought went the Bengals' way. But I got to give respect to Matthew Stafford too. I didn't think he was going to be really back to himself this year after what had happened with the offseason injury and the surgery. But he looked healthy. He's flashing his talent with the sidearms out here, extended the game on 4th and 3 with his legs, finding Puka Nacua on the big throw late in this football game. But unfortunately, he does throw 2 interceptions. He was 55% on the night. And you got to look at Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson getting some love all without Cooper Kupp in this game. So you got to really see that Sean McVay is, again, trying to be as crafty as he can with what he's got. Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. Those are all guys he's drafted within the last 1 to 3 seasons, and they're all coming through and producing. You got Witherspoon with an insane one-handed interception. Literally looks like he was almost the receiver on this play, jumping in with one hand to make that pick. But they were just 1 for 11 on 3rd down and 1 for 4 in the red zone, speaking of the Rams. So you're not going to win any football games when you're crap on money downs. You're crap in the red zone. They only converted that 3rd down, and the one solo red zone trip was on the final drive of the game. Stafford, again, sacked 6 times, 10 QB hits. And we saw last week that when Stafford got comfortable, did they win last week? No, they beat the Seahawks. I can't remember who they lost to last week. I'm totally drawing a blank here, but when Stafford was comfortable in the first half, he was making things happen. I want to say he didn't have very many incompletions, and it showed. Like when Matt Stafford gets comfortable, he can wheel and deal with the best of them. And we know we've got our Stafford believers out there, right? But there were really some key points in this game that I thought the Rams could have taken away. Again, they get that tough break on Tutu Atwell. I thought that interception from Logan Wilson might have hit the ground. Why is Kyron Williams not running it there? But hey, 65, 60%, 70% Joe Burrow. I don't like him dropping back 49 times, but Zach Taylor, if you have a chance to outcoach one of the greats in Sean McVay, go do that. Lou Anarumo, again, puts on a masterclass defensively to shut down this Rams offense. And I don't know if that's much to say, but knowing how crafty they've been, again, with the Williams, with the Nacua, with the Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson of recent years, it's impressive to see them be this competitive this early on in the football season when I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL.